Mr. Irontrader, this is the last call of the day. So we'll take a look here at Bitcoin, at that Ethereum ETF, ETHU, gold, silver, crude oil, natural gas. We'll take a look at the indexes, which are all red right now. At the end of the video, the support and resistance levels are posted for crude and natural gas, along with the EIA report for crude oil. This video is for information purposes only, not a recommendation to buy or sign stock market ETF. Please like, subscribe. Thanks for watching. All right, here we have Bitcoin. I can see here a weekly daily chart where it's looking really, really good, holding off of this old 100 SMA. I got long yesterday to BITX for the simple reason because it did hold this 100-day, and we're holding this key 21-day on your weekly chart, which is very, very critical. Okay, now you can see here we're just above this 21-day, and that's going to be very, very key support level. We need to close above that 113,472 level. Then your next level is going to be 113,470. And we come down to the bottom of that candle. You're looking at 111,970. We come down to the bottom there at 111,550, and then we're going to look for that 100-day at 111,184. Very, very key. On a weekly basis, you're by Friday, we really want to hold this 111,478. That is very, very crucial. And if we lose it, we could come all the way down to that 50-day. However, even if you did, very, very bullish chart. Okay, see how it is? Bottom left, upper right, came down, low, higher low. Even if it came down to 50-day, it'd still be a higher low situation. Okay, very, very bullish. But again, we like to hold it, keep it and going higher if we possibly can. Now, on the upside, we're low watching today's high at that 114.90 level. And then we come to the bottom of this candle right here. You're looking at 114.635. We have 114.850. Then we're looking for this 8-day right here. That's going to be key resistance at 115.94. And then we have right above it, we have that 50-day there sitting at 115.682. Now, again, if we can get above all of this, then we can come right back here to the top of that candle. Okay, we're looking at about 117.240 and work your way up to 117.335. 117.685, then we come up there, 117.795, and then a big retest there at 118.295, which is basically the top of that candle. Now, got a good start here going today because we held the 100-day, and for right now, we're above that 21-day, very, very good. So I'm looking for this 8-day next, and possible even that 50 SMA here. Now, again, for this to go higher, you have to close above that 8-day and 50-day, and we got to see if they can do it on the first try. A lot of times, you really can't do that, okay? So we had this nice sell-off situation. We made that high of 118.295. All you do is look to the left of the chart. We're looking for that 118.350. That was your double top situation. Okay, and we were riding this just like birds on a wire. That 50-day closed all above it very, very nicely. But then Friday came, and we made this lower low and that lower high. That's always the beginning of something that's not good. Okay, and then we came right down. We couldn't hold that, get above that 8-day, and then we just fell right down, but right down to the 100-day. But we're holding it very, very nicely. So right now, what you want to do is just watch that 21-day, very, very key, and then watch that 100-day. That's on the downside. Upside, we're looking for that 8-day, and then we're looking for that 50 SMA at that 115.682 level. Now, 48, that's not overbought or oversold. This is just like a sideways kind of an action. So let's just see if we can just rally this right back up here again. Now, remember, there was a big sale. You had $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin. So when people start selling the Bitcoin, what you do is you hit all the stop losses, and it just keeps on layering right on down until it looks, sells right on off. However, for me, I always looked at it as a buying opportunity. Okay, people sell for a lot of reasons. You only buy for one reason. Okay, so always remember that could, just because you sell something, that doesn't mean that, oh, that's the end of the world kind of a situation. Always looked at the key support levels, and that was that 100-day. Now, obviously, if we lose that 111, 183 level, then all we do is just follow all of these candles all the way down. 111.15 level, we come down here. 111.480, we have 109.720. We come down here at 108.845. And then we have 108.20, and then your big support level is 107.790. That would be the retest of that bottom of that candle. But right now, let's just watch that 21-day on the downside and that 100-day on downside and the upside. Let's watch that 8-day, and we'll watch that 50-day. Okay, let's take a look here now at that Ethereum ETF, ETHU. All right, this is not getting the juice like Bitcoin. Okay, I don't really trade this, but I see a lot of people do, so I always like to post it. But realistically, I like to trade that Bitcoin. I trade BITX for it, and I also trade IBIT. But I like the BITX because now I got the dividend coming in here. If you're in there here, I think by the 25th, you get paid on the 28th, which is always very, very good. Now, here we have the Ethereum. I can see here yesterday We made this high of 134.59 and a low of 129.53. Today, we have what they call a inside day kind of a situation. And all that means is your high and low is inside the previous day. Now we have this big gap down. Okay, so you always want to watch that going on the upside. So really what you're watching is you're watching yesterday's high. That's at 134.59. Watch the top of that candle, 135.80. But this is what you're looking for is at 139.32. You have to get above that. If you can, then we'll look for that 8-day at 146. The 21-day at 149.27, but you're really looking here for this gap fill, okay? That's at 150.22, okay? So we have the gap right there, 135.80, and then we have your fill at 150.22 level, okay? So, but you got a lot of resistance here. You got that 50-day, and then we have the 8 and the 21-day, which are all sloping right on down. Obviously, we can get above that. Then we come to the top of that candle, 158 level. We come up there at the 165, and then we have a nice retest here at 168, and just follow right on up. But right now, here we have that gap down situation, so you got to be a little bit careful. Now, what we're watching here on downside is just watch that price channel, 129.32. That's going to be very, very critical. We lose that, you're going to come right to the top of that candle, 127.69, and then we have this gap in this filled situation. Okay, so you look at the bottom, 127.19, and then we have that fill at 125.62. Your gap fill, and then we look to the bottom of this candle again, 119.44, and then we look to the top there, 114.44. That is going to be another gap your fill, and then we look to the bottom of the candle, 106.52 level. We come all the way down to 102.62. Then we come down here all the way to this 99 level and this 97 level, which is basically your 100-day and your 200 SMA here. But always watch the gap in the fills, the gap in the fill, but always look to the left of the chart here. This is all support. But again, that's only if you lose this key level at 129.32, okay? But right now we just have the sideways action, so you got to give it a little chance to play out. This here is not overbought or oversold. This is heading right to the bottom here. This doesn't look like it has any kind of a real juice. Now we look at a weekly chart. Well, you can see here you lost that key 8 SMA, and now we're kind of like no man's land. So you could come all the way down to that 50-day and that 21-day very, very easily. But right now on no man's land, and you put that big gap down. So just be a little bit careful if you're trading on this. All right, let's take a look at gold and silver. Here we have gold, here we have silver. Now you can see here the gold had a really, really nice run up here. Came out, got all the way to that 38.24. I was looking for 38.20. It got about 4 above that, so that's pretty much right in the mark. However, also notice where it closed at 37.96, below that 3800 mark. Okay, so just because it pops up, you know, again, you could pop right above it, which it did about 404.7, and then but right now it closed right below it. So we have a topping tail, and today we have this red candle. We have a lower low and a lower high situation. I took no trade today, and all I did on this, I just took a trade here, I took a trade there, and yesterday I took a trade and just take the GLD right on off here. Okay, so I'm not what you call it, like we call a big gold and silver trader. However, when it starts getting that momentum, I jump into GLD and I just traded daily for cash flow, kind of a situation. So now what we're looking at the downside, we're looking to the bottom here at that 37.60 level. So all I got to do is come to the left here. Next level is going to be 37.44. And then we have that 8-day at 37.35. That's going to be very, very crucial. We lose that, you're going to come down to the bottom there at 37.18. And then we come down here at 36.64. And then we have that 36.60 right here, 36.47 level. But you have to lose that 8-day in order to get that. Now, you can see how this runs up and then consolidates. And then we have another, then it runs up a little bit, consolidates. So as long as we're above this 8-day, we can have a good consolidation, and this could go higher, okay? So if you can break out of this, okay, so what you're looking here for on the upside is looking at the top of that candle, 37.83, and then you're looking for that 3800 flat. And then we can look into today's high, 38.12, 38.20, look for that, and then look for that 38.24. That's your breakout. You crack that, you can go 38.50 and head all the way to that 39, maybe even 39.20 level here on the old gold. So just be a little bit patient. Now, what we have here is you got an over bought condition, and you can see where now she's going to come off. Well, we don't know how far it's going to come off. The key is just watch that 8-day. As long as that price is above that 8-day, it's going to be sideways to up kind of an action. Okay. Now, silver, pretty much the same kind of a situation. You once you start getting out of these price channels, see these blue lines here, these are just price channels. We should get about that, it wants to come right back in. See, get out of it, it wants to come right back in. Yesterday, we put in this topping tail situation, kind of like an indecision candle, and the same way we have there today. So we made a lower low and a lower high today. So downside, what you want to watch is 43.93. That's going to be key. And then we come over top of that chart at 43.43, and then 43.27. That's going to be your downside action here, okay? We start losing all that there. We just follow these candles right on down here. You got 43.23. We got 43.03. We'll come over here to the top of this candle right there. You're looking at 42.29 level. And then we just work this bad boy down here. You got 41.93, and then we'll come right down here. Well, that's 41.93. Lines up very, very nicely with your 21 day. But again, the same thing here. As long as that price is above that 8 day, we have sideways to up action. Okay. Now on the upside here, where you're looking right here at top of that candle at that 44.39 level, then we can go look to today's high, 44.62, and then 44.77. On this run here, I thought we were going to hit that 45 mark, and you came pretty close. But if you crack that 44.77, you can hit that 45 mark, and then maybe even head all the way on up, eventually up to that 50 mark kind of a situation. Now you look at here, you got an overbought condition, but you can see how strong this is. So just watch that 8 day on downside. That's going to be very, very key. Your green is still over your red. This is looking still very, very bullish here on the gold and on the silver. Okay, let's take a look here now at crude oil and natural gas. All right, here we have the old crude oil and we have natural gas. Okay, so you can see here crude oil is having actually a very, very good day. I jumped in the UCO there today. It got as low as 23.37. I didn't get that. I'm in at 23.45 level, and it got as high as 23.85. You're sitting at about 23.80 right now. So right now I'm still long on the crude oil for a simple reason is this. See this? Okay, this is that 61.45. Okay, we hit it right there. That was the bottom. We retested it, 61.45. We retested this again, 61.69, and we retested again at 61.61, and it's holding, okay? Now, we got to really watch here kind of situation because what we had, we have a red candle, and then we had 3 up. Red candle, 3 up, okay? Then we have this red candle again, and now we got that 3 up situation. But you can see here how we're making higher highs, and now we're above that 50-day and that 100-day. That's very, very key. Simple reason is look at how nice how that 50-day held there. It held there and it held there. But now it looks like we're going to be breaking on up. However, we got to see if it's going to hold. That's the key. So when the futures open tonight at 6 p.m., that's what you want to watch. You want to watch today's candle. That's what you're trading against. 65.05 on the top, 63.25 there on the bottom. Now, what you want to watch here on the downside support is going to be that 100-day. Okay, you're sitting at 64.58. That's going to be very, very key. And then your 50-day at 64.46. That's what you want to hold. Okay, if that's lost, then we come to the top of this candle, 63.89, and then we come to that 63.45, and we have that 8-day just above it there at 63.56. Okay, so right there, now the price is above all your key levels except for that key, 200-day. So when you look at these patterns here, you say, well, but again, remember, always look at crude that is still in play here till the first couple of weeks of October. Then I think we take a short ski if you look at a seasonality chart, okay? But right now you're holding this 61.45, and that's all that matters right there, okay? As long as we're holding that 61.45, this can go higher, okay? So on the upside, we look at today's highs, that 65.05 level. And then we're going to look for that price channel right there at 66.03, which is basically the top of that candle. You get above that, we got this 66.87. That is your 200-day. Then we have to see what the reaction is once we get there, okay? Next level above that is 67.74 level. We come to the bottom there at 68.56. Then right to the top there at 69.58. And then we can retest that all the way up to that 70.51 level. But again, you got to get through that price channel, and you have to get above that 200-day, which is going to be very, 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 very strong. When you look at the past here, very, very strong kind of a situation. Not saying it can't pop up, but again, we got to just kind of keep that in mind there. So again, for me, this is just a trade I'm going to see at the end of the day here. When the futures open, I'm still going to be holding that UCO, or am I going to cut it loose here and just take the profits, okay? So now, I don't mind holding crude oil like overnight because crude oil is always that's always a good thing here to trade. Same way on natural gas, I usually don't, but this time of the year, yes, I would take it, like overnight kind of a trade. So RSI here, you're sitting here at 55. That's not overbought, oversold. The green is over your red, so this could run up very, very nicely. We got to see how it is. Now, again, you had a build on the EA report in crude, but a lot of times that doesn't really matter. But the reason I like trading crude, seems like it's always in trade. It's always in play. Okay, you don't need a certain thing, this or this or this. It just seems like as long as you just trade them charts, then we're going to be, that's all you really need to know. Okay, so bottom line here, just watch that right there, that 63.55 and that 63.45. That's the downside level. Okay, if we lose that 50 SMA here, and if we lose this 100 SMA here at that 64.58. Upside here, our target right there is going to be that 66.03 and 66.87 level. All right, we look here now at Natgas. Okay, now natural gas came right on down yesterday. What do we hit? We hit 2.77. So all I got to do is look to the left of the chart here, which I've been pointing out, and that's the gap, 277. Okay, see? What do we have there? We have a double bottom situation. Now, if it loses that, then we just go to the fill. Okay, 274. That's why you always see me pointing out the gaps in the fill. Because a lot of times it doesn't have to go to the fill. That gap will stop it, just like it did right there. Okay, that's a very, very easy thing. Now, if it loses it, then we go to that 274 level, and then we'll come down here, 268. Okay, and then we'll come down here to the bottom, 265, and then you retest down here and down at 262. Okay, but right now what we have a, what to call an indecision candle. Now the EIR report will be on Natgas tomorrow at 10:30, and we'll see how that shakes out. But realistically, natural gas usually pulls back in the middle here of September, and then we have a nice rally up. We'll see how cold it is. Okay, now on the upside, this is what we're looking for. We're looking at that 8-day at that 2.95, and we have a 21-day right above it at 2.97, and then we have your 50-day at 3.01. So we have to get above that, and then we can start retesting this. Okay, so we have 3.10, 3.13, 3.16, and then 3.19. So retest, you crack above it. We got 100-day, we have 200-day, and then we can come all the way back up here to that 362 level. Okay, but when I say always look at the left of the chart, this is what I'm talking about right here. See how we made this high, 3.13? All I got to do is look to the left here. What do you see? 3.13. See this double top? What do we have here? 3.16. Look to the left of the chart. What do you see? 3.16. Okay, see that? See that double top? Boom, down she comes. Okay, just like that. That's how you trade the charts. Now, if it kept on rolling or if it closed above that, then we look to the 319 level, and then we look for the 100 SMA here. Okay, but that's not what happened. It double top, and then we just held that sell signal all the way on down. So let's just take a look here now. I say that we have an indecision candle. So just watch today's low. When the futures open, that's at 281 level, and then we'll come down here to 280, and then we'll watch at 277. That's going to be very critical. If not, we just look out to the 274 level and follow it all down until we get down to that 262. Now we look at 43, and that's to say that's not overbought or oversold. The green is below your red because we had that down streak, and that shows moment to the downside. But again, this is natural gas, and they don't call it the Widowmaker for nothing. We could get up tomorrow morning, and this could be up here. Okay, or it could be right down there. But so I love trading natural gas. Again, it's always in play. Now, what I want to say about natural gas is you look at all these AIs, okay, all the big shooters there, I'm saying NVIDIA and Apple and Amazon and Meta and all these people playing the AI, and they came up here and they're going to put in $100 billion, to run stuff on AI. But the thing about it is you have to understand is you have to have massive, massive power to do this, okay? So how do you power something like this? Well, you got wind or solar. Now, you look at wind, you're about 18% of the market. The problem is it's very, very unreliable kind of a situation. And realistically, you look at solar, it's about the same thing, and it doesn't work all over the place. Yeah, if you're in California, Arizona, it works great. Okay, but if you're in the colder climates, here I'm in Michigan, not so great. Okay, another thing about solar you have to understand is when you put a solar panel on your roof, it starts deteriorating from day one. By the time you hit 20 years, okay, that thing is not putting out 100%. You'd be lucky if you're putting out 10 to 20%, okay, of the juice. Okay, that's what you always have to understand here, okay, about solar. All right, so that's how that works. The same way wind is a lot more expensive than what people think. Okay, and you're not going to save the world and put up all wind and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, that's just a total lot of nonsense. Okay, so then we got nuclear. Okay, a lot of people, well, I like the nuclear, it's very clean energy, but not my backyard. You have an incident, well, it wipes out the whole town, the whole city, and the whole 9 yards. Okay, so that's it. Then you have fusion. Okay, well, fusion now, we have that up here in Michigan in certain areas, but you have to be, again, it's just certain things. You can't just run fusion everything. You got to be by the water. It's got to be a certain thing before you can actually run the fusion. Okay, so that's good clean energy also here. But realistically, we got so much natural gas that would just, if you go past any kind of oil drilling and they're flaring it off, well, you have to so the well doesn't blow up. Okay, that's one thing. But you're just flaring this off. I mean, instead of flaring this off, you could be pumping this down here, get a system going. You know what I'm saying? And another thing is too is for LNG. You know what I mean? But I just think natural gas here, if you start building out these AI and you start building the power plant, I think they're going to come to the conclusion that really an easy way to do this is natural gas. And I think you're going to eventually have a huge explosion in natural gas. And I think natural gas is going to go much, much higher. So just keep that in mind here. You can't do this AI without massive power. What we got going on here in the U.S. now isn't even going to handle not even a 1% of what they're actually talking about and the energy that they actually need. So if you're going to do these big power, blocks here, like what they're talking about, you got to have something to power that kind of situation. Now, I'm a fan of throwing everything at it, do wind, do solar, and all that kind of stuff. But again, just take in consideration, what is the most reliable thing? Is natural gas. Now, coal, you can say anything about, clean coal. Coal is dirty. Okay, you got to face reality. I have nothing against people who are drilling coal and stuff, but it's really a dirty product. Okay, natural gas is very clean. And we have buses around here, city transportation. They run a lot of the vehicles right on natural gas. Fork trucks you can run on natural gas. I think you could run all. I remember Boone Pickens. He was talking about running all your semis, everything on natural gas. I mean, you can do it very easily. You just got to have the system there, to convert it. But if you're going to do all this kind of system, building out AI, this would be a good time to be doing something that you got clean energy, and the U.S. has plentiful on the natty gas. So just keep that in the back on your back burner there. That I just think natural gas here over time, I think is going to have a nice, good run up situation. But right now, what we're talking about here is we're talking about not only just the charts here, but we're looking at going to winter. They're looking at the very, very cold winter coming up here, a lot of cold and snowy. If you do, natural gas is going higher. Okay, let's take a look here now at the indexes. Okay, we have the indexes. Now you look at the Dow, we have the negative divergence going here, okay? Now, we don't have that on here. Well, we do a little bit, but realistically, this is just like an overbought condition, the same way overbought condition. But when you look at these charts, this was your buying opportunity. Simple reason is, look at here, okay? See all these oversold conditions? That's the time you get in. Look at all this. You see that? Now is not the time that you jump in. You wait for a nice good pullback sign of situation. Okay, so remember the end of this month, usually September, the end of September, and that first couple of weeks of October, you got to be very, very careful, because a lot of times you can have a nice big sell-off. But what I do on a sell-off, and first of all, I'm a two-way trader, so it doesn't bother me then. I can do the short ski. Okay, but if you're just like a long trader, just sit on your hands. It's not easy, but wait for opportunity. Then what you do is you buy on the bottom, like we did here, in here, okay, and on the Dow down here. Then you take that all that long. I jumped into TQQ. It's got as low as 35. I'm in that 36 flat, okay, on the TQQs, okay? The TQQs there, it got as high as 105, okay? So, I mean, I tripled my money, okay, on the TQQs, okay? See, that's what I'm talking about, opportunity. NVIDIA got all the way down to 62. It's sitting at 76. Okay, more than doubled my money on this. Okay, so wait for opportunity. It's not easy sitting on your hands. Trust me, as a trader, I've been doing this for over 2.5 decades. It's not easy sitting on your hands. However, sometimes patience pays off. Okay, that's the key. And I mean, in this kind of a market, just trade it. Okay, if you go both like I do, just both directions and put the money in your pocket. That's the key. Now we look at the Dow here yesterday. We made this thing, but look at that topping tail. Look at that thing. Okay, now we came on down. We're holding the 8-day. That's going to be very critical. 46,116. And then right here, 45,778. You can come all the way down to 50-day at 45. We come down to that price channel right there at 44.98. Now, again, if this starts rolling up here, you got to watch that 46.71. If you crack above it, then you go into 47,000. So right now, you haven't lost that 8-day. That's always critical. You haven't lost that 8-day. You haven't lost that 21-day. So this is still a trader's market. The same with the S&P, okay? So we came all the way down. We're still holding that 8-day. It's very, very key. 66.37. You lose that, we have that 66.50, and we have that 50-day on there, okay? But right now, you're still uptrending. This is a trader's market kind of a situation, okay? Once we start losing that 8-day, then we look to the 21-day to catch all. Then we look to the 50-day, then we can come all the way down here to your 63.60 level, all right? But when you look at these charts here, just trade this, okay? Use stop losses. That's the key. Use stop losses. Put money in your pocket, okay? So you don't buy the bottom, so you don't sell the top. Who gives a shit? You got that meat in the middle. That's what the key is, okay? Now, NASDAQ here, it's selling off here, but we're holding that 8-day, okay? So remember, one day, yesterday we had a red day. Today we have a red day. 2-day does not make a market, okay? That doesn't mean that this can't, rally up here. But don't get caught in that FOMO, because that's really not a good look for you, okay? So now here, we're holding that 8-day. So watch that 22.486 level. We lose that, we can come all the way down to 21-day, down to the 50-day, down to the big retest down here, okay? So just remember that you are on the top side of all of this. You are top heavy on all these charts, okay? So just keep that in mind. Trader's market. All right, that's what I got for you. Tomorrow's Thursday, and I'll be back here tomorrow morning, and we'll do it all over again. Trade what's in front of you, not what you want.